have wanted in a circle that should favor them. I feel like they're starting to rearing up towards not playing so much edge and start playing more aggressively, which works into what Skittles, I feel like, as a player, really stands out in.
Sure thing. Well, Vicky, Fallout, thanks so much for letting us know what you think about it. Now it's time to see what happens. Get ready to enjoy a Game 6 of hopefully epic proportions. Fallout, Vicky, take it away.
No longer time to think about it, time to be about it. Game number 6, once again. Apex family in the chat, blow it up right now. Let us know who you want to win Game 6. It's anyone's game at this point. With Space Station in first place with 53 points, NRG in 7th with 37. They need a monstrous game if they want a first place finish, but certainly in contention for the top 3.
It's going to be absolutely insane. And looking at where this circle is going to be pulling all the way over to the north side by Overlook, Team Smiley are definitely smelling on because they're going to have that beacon control. So they're going to have that information for where this next circle is going to be pulling. Complexity as well. They're going to have the information from the beacon over by Fragment East. So they're going to move on from the loot in Fragment East and immediately start rotating. Maybe we'll see an early contention between Complexity versus Team Smiley.
That's right. On board now with NRG. And Nathan, after on the heels of a great game that we saw right there in game number 5, has to go back to back. They need another 17 kill, game if they want a 29-point win and a chance to win this day overall. Obviously, tough to do back to back. You know, Energy's capable of it, but they looked great in that game number 5 and have an opportunity here to do it again in game number 6. One team I've been really disappointed in terms of their performance today. Not the best showing. We haven't watched a whole lot of them on screen. Has been Complexity. And Complexity is a team that came in fourth, and fourth place in their first 3 days of Pro League action, in 4th place overall. And as my friend Doug, the producer, said, it's like the Bermuda Triangle's of placement right now. Will Complexity be able to have a big game here in Game 6 to try and get some Pro League points out of the day?
I love how you had to give that credit to Doug out here. Okay, we talked about it a little bit in the break, and that Bermuda Triangle of the 4th place spots is not favoring Complexity this time around, because in the overall standings right before that previous game, they were sitting in 16th, and they're not looking as great as we were expecting from them. As you can see, Complexity now just trying to take the early positioning with the Skyward Dive. You can see the pings coming online. We noted already before that that's exactly where Team Smiley already likes to rotate, so let's see where they're going to go.
That's right. Well, early rotate here for Complexity again. Playing Newcastle, changing their playstyle up quite a bit from the old days of Bloodhound and Edge and Aggressive. Is the Complexity squad who instead opts for early rotate here on this zone, and will find themselves in a good position with the rotate. Meanwhile, Sharky going to take out Bowser at the top right of your screen, so a good start for Dark Zero, who's been relatively quiet, or at least quietly performing consistently okay in today's competition.
CLG now trying to rotate around. We could see Oxygen, Complexity, Team Smiley, Optic Gaming already making their way into that next circle. CLG in a lot of trouble though. Demi having to drop all the way down. Looking great in terms of loot. You got the G7 and 3x scope, but you're getting pressured out by the squad over on the other side. The guard having to play this only as a solo for right now. Can Keon get away from that squad hanging out behind him?
And here we are in game 6 with the guard. You know, I again mentioned it. Had just a strange feeling that we wouldn't see a great showing from the guard. I hope it's not considered a caster's curse, but sometimes that caster's intuition is a little bit strong, as we've been here before. And unfortunately right now the guard needed a big game 6 and down to 1 player left. We'll see if they can get reses. We'll see if they can get it. See LG working their way back into Fragment.
Ano's gonna try to have to restabilize with the medkit. You got the black market to work with too if you need some additional loot at the same time to work with. No other squads to try to contest him over by Fragment West, but we see a fight going on the outskirts of Overlook by that beacon. It's the fight for the beacon that I was expecting a lot of these teams to actually contest for. FPS inside of one of these buildings that Shubi needs to back up, needs to restabilize. That Madness trying to give them some surprise fire, but they got the black market, so it's not like they have to work very hard for that loot.
That's right. MPS, you know, very similar to Dark Zero, a team that has performed just consistently or quietly well throughout the entirety of the competition today. In 8th place right now, right next to NRG, and an opportunity, if they can get that res, to make some noise and, again, be one of the only unsigned teams within the top 5 leaving today's competition. MPS, formerly MPL, played with Luda on this team before he joined Esports Arena, has done really well all season long, and you know, we haven't given them enough kind of credibility or recognition. Very similar to Tripods, right now in the middle of the pack overall, but some very consistent performances, and looks like all 3 of them are alive and well. And you got to give respect where respect is due to Madness as an IGL who always finds a way to work his way back to the top after once being a dominant team on CLG. Madness now playing with Pow Pow, former great himself, alongside Shubi as the kind of rookie on this team.
Yeah, this is a team that's on the cusp. You know, they're ninth right now in the overall standings in North America. So this is a performance that they need to try to stay consistent in if they want to make it to land. So playing this patiently, rocking the Newcastle still and the Lobo that I'm Madness is rocking means that they're just going to be standing in that final circle positioning to just get all the loot necessary with that black market. 100 Thieves taking a page out of the same very book. They want to play for that positioning. They want to play into the Newcastle and Watson strength, just playing patiently, but they have to look to the 6 to any of the squads leaving Fragment East.
We're gonna have another slow start here. Only one team out in this competition. 19 squads still alive, and again with these northern zones, there's so much land available, an opportunity to rotate early. You see a lot of teams rotate fast, find themselves good positioning, and not necessarily fighting. FaZe, one of them that's already rotated. That's a really, really fast rotation coming through from FaZe. You see Complexity on the far, far east side of the zone. They're going to call for an eastern zone pull. But then you have all of our teams playing edge. Looks like the guard, look all the way at the southwest side of your map, is rotating into the zone and might be finding themselves a res, question mark. We'll see if the guard can get their last two members alive. Meanwhile, G2, as you'd expect, playing edge, working their way over to Harvester.
Yeah, some squads playing on the outskirts of this circle. G2 making their way in. Luminosity as well, rotating from the direction of Geyser. First attempt, taking some shots though. While they are rotating from the northern side of Climatizer, I believe that was Sentinels that were taking some shots at them. But if they don't have the information of where the circle is going to be pulling, they're going to be gatekept by the likes of Sentinels, who are going to be able to have the high ground on top of this Pride Rock.
Or with Crust. And the Sentinels roster still playing the same team composition. We saw them do some kind of wacky things this Pro League. They saw them run some Revenant at some point. A lot of different team compositions, trying some different things out with Lou on the squad. But back to the basics here with Tech currently filling in for this roster. It's going to be the kind of quote unquote, what we call default comp, the most common team composition, which is Horizon, Seer, and Valkyrie for them. No more interesting or off meta picks necessarily. Charge Rifle right now in the hands of Crust. And Sentinels, I believe, another one of our few all mouse and keyboard teams. 100 Thieves, a full mouse and keyboard squad, was having a healthy debate and DMs. Shout out to Noko. I wouldn't be kind of mentioning the private DMs if it wasn't for Noko being vocal on the topic, and rightfully so, around mouse and keyboard versus controller. Obviously a big debate. And, overall, I personally am of the belief that it's a pretty good balance in terms of pro play. There's a lot more controller players than keyboard and mouse players in the world, and I think that's why you see a lot more controller players in top Predator ranks, etc. But I think really at the pro level, a solid balance right now, just me personally at least, Vicky.
Yeah, it's nice to see the comparison between the two in the same lobby as well, because you could see some of the shots being taken. And what would you do just for some of that extra little lick of damage of the 4 damage that the charge rifle gives you once it tickles you? Sometimes it can be absolutely tilting, but it's about sending a message, okay? Even for that 4 damage, it's not like it's gonna boost up your shield when you have 500 more damage till you get red, right?
Yeah, that's right. Drives you nuts. Thank goodness for pylons from Theo Watson to help you with that 6 damage that was taken as you got tickled by the charge rifle here. 100 Thieves currently playing within trailer over in No Name or Respawn Village, just to the east of Fragment East. And meanwhile, on the map, we do have kind of a few other teams. Team Liquid continues to kind of play edge here. They're going to be working their way into the zone, but they find themselves actually in a potential fight. As I'm looking at my side screen here, the overhead map with first attempt. Looks like they'll avoid that fight completely. Team Liquid will work their way into Fragment East. So 100 Thieves needs to be a little bit cautious of Liquid and first attempt just nearby. Space Station, FaZe, MPS are all the teams currently within Respawn Village.
Yeah, a lot of teams right here by that no-name spot. I'm wondering which of the teams are going to be exiting out of the southern point of the map, like Optic Gaming, who leave Big Mod, probably passing through the Geyser spot. Wondering how that's contested for a lot of the squads that are forced to actually go through Geyser, leaving Lava Siphon, if they've been getting circle kept by that choke point that's south of Fragment East. Right to the left side of Geyser, G2 making their rotation actually through that very similar choke point right now. Could be another squad right to their right, where they sometimes share some of that same land on the high ground, but this is the edge of the circle, so we can expect the circle to continuously keep pulling towards the overlook area.
Yeah, meanwhile, Luminosity over in Geyser as they work their rotation all the way from the south side of the map. Near Optic Gaming, who drops down in Big Mod area. Luminosity now find themselves in a fight against Slept On. Dark Zero in the choke just to the left, and Optic Gaming. Speaking of which, I told you, Luminosity and Optic fight near each other. Luminosity launch site, Optic over in Big Mod. is going to be gatekeeping in the tunnel or the cave that leads over to Respawn Village. So Slept-On, Luminosity, Optic, and Dark Zero all within a vicinity here. And similarly to what we saw with Space Station in game number 4, only one team is going to likely survive this rotation.
Be difficult, especially playing on the edge right here. Slept-On understands the situation. They got the Bloodhound, so they could get the scan to know how many people are on the high ground where Luminosity Gaming's position is, as well as the Caustic barrels, so that's going to let them know exactly what team it is, since we don't really see Caustic in these lobbies right now. And overall, in the Legends, we only have one Caustic in the entire lobby, so they'll know immediately that it is probably Luminosity who's holding onto this high ground, trying to circle keep them. The 30-30 shots, finding a way to pepper down on that player, though, from the low ground.
Yeah, leveling up that Evo shield and kind of starting at least to initiate the inevitable that these two teams are ultimately going to have to fight eventually. Obviously, some time. And this is kind of the calm before the storm right now, as you still have another minute or two before this ring is going to collapse and force these fights. 19 squads still alive, but ultimately Slept-On and Luminosity will have to fight. We'll see who ends up on top. Slept-On in last place, Luminosity vying for a top 3 finish. Can Slept-On be the ones that rain on the parades here of Luminosity? We'll obviously find out as this fight continues here in a bit.
Safe to see this slow pace here for this final game as well. This is the situation of a lot of these teams understanding where they are in the overall standings right now. Luminosity taking their time. It was only Rack Attack that have fallen in this entire lobby. 19 squads still left. G2 in the fight, losing out on results, although.
That's right, resulted down and soon to be out. All up to Chaotic and Designful, the last two alive for their team. And it looks like they'll actually, no, as I say that, resulted down to like barely 5 HP in his down or DBNO state, but Jen Burton is going to come through and clean up. Jen Burton gets knocked. Sharky gets knocked right after. G2 eliminated to the hands of Dark Zero. But guess what? Another team is going to be pushing. It's going to be MPS getting some damage on DZ. They'll get some reses in already. Mad Maggie not going to connect, and just like that, DZ almost back to full. Maybe? Question mark.
Oh, not too sure. CLG still putting in some of the work with that G7.
Nope.
CLG now taking a nice off angle. They got the Mad Maggie out. Wonder if we're going to see the Wrecking Ball to closing that gap, because on the other side of Dark Zero, we do know that it is MPS Slept-On as well. All right, behind them, CLG now moving in, and they're going to get out of the line of sight of Slept-On, so that way they could safely hug the side of the rock right here.
That's right. Dark Zero out of this lobby. So again, not going to be the best showing for DZ in the overall grand scheme of things today. Obviously a big decision, right? They leave Apex South where they basically had a free playoff spot. I mean, when I say free, they dominated that region for the likes of multiple years. So you would have expected them to be a top 3 team, top 5 team at least to qualify. And now they're in a very stacked North American lobby where they risk not qualifying for the Split 1 playoffs, Vicky. It's crazy to think about, but now switching over. FaZe getting eliminated, SSG taking them out. They win that fight against FaZe and SSG will survive.
It shows you the different pacing of the different regions, aside from the different compositions that we're also exposed to. It's always interesting to see how different teams from other regions fare against one another. And that's why LAN is so beautiful, because that's what we get to see usually in a situation like that. A Space Station are going to be able to get the reset. They're going to be able to get the reses. You can see the fences getting put up by Frex at the same time too. Frex has had such a pop-off day, by the way. Just have to state this here from Space Station, who are sitting right now first in the overall group standings before this last game right now. Zanile as well, trying to match that with Frex, has been able to have a nice standout performance as a solo player. Luminosity now also playing from the inside of this truck with the Caustic Barrel still up and alive. It's very limited space here for them to work with, but they're still making it work with some fighting happening inside of these buildings.
Yeah, Sykes is going to get a charge rifle knock on CLG, so Liquid is in contention for another great showing here to potentially take first place. A lot at stake. 16 squads remain, and guess what? A lot of our top 3, top 4 teams, Optic, still alive. Space Station still alive. Team Liquid still alive. The Guard was able to work their way back into this competition. They're now fighting against Sentinels here as we take a look at Luminosity taking out Optic Gaming. This might be the end of the green wall. And oh my goodness, Nox gets taken out. So does Skittle. Duplex last alive. The green wall crumbles in game 6.
Shooting them like ducks out of the sky there too. The alley-oop one by one as they fall. Huge shots coming in from the Sentinel. The iron sights there from Nizel. And he's still finding some more of these knocks. The Guard, nobody's safe in the line of sight of Luminosity.
That's right. LG is frying on this rotation. We talked about the calm before the storm. Well, there it was. That was the beginning of the storm. But guess what? This is a far and difficult rotation for many teams. Duplex the last alive. Can he do it? Can he survive? Can he rat his way to a top 3 finish for Optic to stay in the top 3 in a day that they need to? They're currently 21st place. Jaguares is not missing with that 30-30 long range.
It's so scary. Between the 30-30 and the Senti shots here, it's a scary situation. The EMP gonna get unleashed. Sentinels are just gonna stand on top on the second floor of this building, get as much information as possible without having to burn that seer ult. They're inside this next circle. There's no reason for them to give up this space, so they're just trying to sit here to gain as much information as possible because they're sharing this building with NRG, who are playing off the low ground. Look at these Watson fences painting this bottom floor, and the Kraber in the hands of Sweet.
NRG, we said the need for a back-to-back game. Well, they have an opportunity here to do exactly that. However, they currently find themselves in zone with a fight against Sentinels right below or above them. It's Sentinels on their roof. Watson fences galore. They should be safe. NRG is well positioned, well poised here. Meanwhile, Space Station, Luminosity, and the last remaining rat of Optic, 100 Thieves, Team Liquid, CLG, and MPS all have to make a rotation. Not all of them will certainly survive. Luminosity takes to the sky with a Valkyrie ultimate. We'll see where LG ends up positioning themselves. Optic Gaming is out.
Well, Optic are finally out. They finally catch Duplex, the lone survivor of Optic Gaming, out in 13th place. Space Station taking to the skies, though, and loses out on too much health. This circle takes too much of your health for you to even survive in this. And unfortunately for Space Station, they were pressured out on the edge of the circle and they can't make their way through.
That's right. Sykes takes out Vaxlon. Madness and Scurry are going to go down as well. It is the who's who in the kill feed right now, with every single team basically losing 1 oxygen down to none. See you later, as they'll get taken out as well. Sentinels is going to get a knock and a kill on Pow Pow, and when the dust settles, 100 Thieves eliminated as well.
One by one as they fall, Luminosity come into our open arms. The knock grenade comes out. The thermites also come out. Everybody is getting choked out. The thermite getting the knock onto Monsoon. Ice Shining also getting deleted by that bolt in the hands of Measle. The rest of Luminosity are looking to take another W under their belt.
That's right, LG performing in this late game, and guess what? It's going to be Complexity that gets taken out. We talked about Complexity earlier. We had our eyes on them as a team that didn't necessarily perform up to their expectations today. Unfortunately, that won't change here in Game 6 unless the last remaining rat can do something insane on that Complexity squad. Back to NRG. We talked about their good positioning here in late game. Kraber in the hands right now of Sweet. What can you do with it?
Let's find out. He's got a few bullets left in that Kraber. NRG are not going to be moving from this spot. They called out this circle amazingly. Good call from Sweet, the IGL here. We've seen this circle sometimes pull on the outskirts of this building, and it's going to funnel everybody from the outskirts. CLG still rocking the Mad Maggie like we've been noting before. Rain Day and I were hyping up the different team compositions that CLG have been unique enough to bring out. And Nano also has the RE45 in his hand. So these two squads that are rocking the Lobas taking control over these legendary weapons.
Yeah, this is the weapon we highlighted in the WD Black What's in Your Pack segment to start the day. Can the RE45 bookend today with a finish and a win for CLG? They need it. They're currently pretty low in the overall standings, 13th place right now with 25 points. Going to get scanned right there by the Seer Q. 3 teams all nearby. Seer ultimate goes down, and CLG with their unique team comp currently in a pretty rough spot with Sentinels right above them.
Sentinels taking some shots with that G7. See them finding that squad that's on top of the barrels. Energy still playing right underneath them. They get the knock onto Demi from CLG. Huge here. Sentinels are looking to claim heads. Finishing off Demi is another point in their name. They need as many points as possible with their performance after today, and they're still looking to continue on the domination. Gets another crack here, but gets stuck by the Archstar. Has to back away. Yeah,
Sentinels in 6th place right now. Needs a massive Game 6 because they are in 28th place in the overall standings. We said today was a must-perform day for them. Well, guess what? It all comes down to this last and final game. Sentinels controls their own fate, but they got to clutch it out here. NRG right below them. Can this Sentinels roster, with Tech filling in, showcase that they are the real deal? CLG gets taken out right now. Team Liquid still alive, as well as Luminosity Gaming.
Sang getting these shots, though, with the Kraber himself off of Team Smiley. This is another team that had the positional advantage, getting right here over by Overlook. Nobody contests them in the big building on the outskirts of that hilltop.
Shield battery will be popped by Crust. This is just moments until we'll finally see if Sentinels will rise to the occasion or if NRG can go back-to-back. NPS eliminated, 7 squads left. Team Liquid and NRG both lighting it up in the kill feed. As guess what? Sweet gets the knock on Yazul, long range with the Kraber. Talk about the impact of the Kraber in these late game moments, Vicky.
Absolutely, that's exactly what Sweet wanted right here, but they're not going to give up that real estate that they're hanging out underneath Sentinels. They're going to stay put underneath that building. They're not going to give up this early space. You can see the shots being taken in by Team Smiley in that big building that we made mention of before. We saw that Sang had gotten some knocks with that sniper, as Nocturnal are still on the high ground, splitting up some of that space, though, with the rest of Team Liquid. They're looking for an opportunity because there's two other squads that are playing in the space.
Yeah, and surely at this point, NRG and Sentinels, neither of them survive here. The entire lobby is going to focus them. There's one. Sentinels crush, see you later. Senox, you're right after. Gilderson's you too, as it's going to be absolute carnage for those teams having to rotate. Team Liquid, though, sits on top of the cylinders with ultimate high ground and positioning. We called them out and said they need to perform on World's Edge. They didn't do it last time. Well, they're doing it here today. A second place finish last game and an opportunity to win this one here.
I have the high ground now. Team Liquid, Bots, Complexity, Luminosity, Team Smiley, NRG, and Sentinels are left in this lobby. Sentinels drop down at the hands of NRG, who are still getting way more of these knocks than they were expecting here. Team Liquid have the positional advantage, though, Follow. They have the God Spot, they have the Charge Rifle, but they're going to have to drop down eventually.
Sykes making an absolute campaign for MVP of the day here with his performance. Kill leader with 4 right now. He's going to drop low. Oh my God, the damage from Sykes. Nocturnal needs to follow up. It's down to the duo. Knock and Fun. They're going to eliminate the bots from this lobby, but Sykes' Fun goes down, leaving Nocturnal last alive.
Oh, they have to try to focus here. Nocturnal being the only solo rat playing up the knockdown shields because he gets the finish. He gets the crack, but he doesn't get the finish on Nocturnal, who's literally won. Complexity left here. Luminosity still in this lobby, playing off the fence line. The Nox gas hiding them, masking them as they ease their way into this circle.
NRG survived somehow that fight. Sweet with the Kravers not missing. He's going to connect for 150. See you later, Smiley. They're eliminated. NRG versus LG, the final fight. Guess what? LG is going to do it from a terrible spot in that house and terrible positioning. They win game number 6. NRG goes back-to-back to close out the day.
You said it. You said that NRG needed to have another pop-off game, and they did just that. After getting 17 kills in Game 5, they take another dub in this final game.